You've probably heard me talking about this self-sufficient living skills bundle that's been going on. And I have been spending the last week flipping through so many of the incredible resources within this bundle. Now, I will say there's a lot. There's over 118 different ebooks and courses and lessons sharing incredible wisdom and knowledge with you so you can live off the land and you don't have to rely on this corrupt and broken system for everything for your family. Anyways, I wanted to share some of my favorite things. One, first off, is off-grid homeopathy. This course is loaded with so much incredible knowledge, talking about homeopathy for first aid, for colds and flu, how to make your own homeopathic remedies. Like, as an herbalist who loves to teach that stuff, that's pretty exciting to hear it in the homeopathy realm. There's also some incredible fermentation guides, so many other amazing herbal recipes and food recipes, and how to make your own sourdough bread, how to do your own organic gardening and canning of all of your foods. Really, there is so much. And yes, I know. I've talked about it a ton, but this entire bundle is only $50 right now until Sunday, March 24th. I'm sharing my herbal first aid skills, which is a course that's $47 on its own. I'm sharing recipes that I used when I got my products into REI for herbal first aid kits and so much more. You'll have to check it out. I'm serious. Like, you can absolutely change your life with this bundle. So there is a link in the show notes for you, and I hope you check it out. I hope you take advantage. Don't worry, you don't have to go through everything right away. You can access everything for up to a year. Once you're in the course or have the download, it's yours for life. It is a steal of a deal. Okay, self-sufficient living skills bundle in the links for you.
Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The Herbalist Path, where we're on a mission to inspire a movement where there's an herbalist in every home again. I'm pretty excited about today's episode. I'm flying solo, so that's a bit different. But I'm really excited because I want to talk with you about the one herb that I wish everybody knew. Wondering what it could be? It's plantain. And no, I'm totally not talking bananas here. I'm talking about Plantago major. It's a super cool little plant that grows in your sidewalk cracks, along roadsides, and pretty much in all the places that we as humanity have come in to disrupt nature. I bet if you were to take a walk outside right now, maybe cruise around your block, that you would find plantain growing somewhere along your walk. It's that readily available to you. It's just hanging out saying, hey you, don't spray me, use me, pick me, make me into your medicine. I'm so strong and I'm here for you. I just want to be loved by you. Well, maybe it won't be quite that dramatic, but then again, maybe it would. It's highly likely that you, or maybe your parents or grandparents or someone you know, has spent tons of time trying to get rid of this little weed out of their yards with little or no success. And that's because plantain is strong as hell. That, to me, is a testament to the strength and value of this plant as food and medicine in our lives. Only the strong survive, right? There is a long list of the ways that plantain can be used as medicine. So for the sake of time and list and, my vocal cords, I'm just going to stick to the ones that are most important in my eyes. So the number one reason I feel that you need to know about plantain is because it's amazing for first aid. It's that plant that, when in doubt, plantain in my eyes. It's got this cool little compound in it called allantoin, which helps to regenerate skin cells. Pretty cool, right? I use plantain in my essential salve, and that's one of the main reasons I think that salve is so damn essential. So do you know somebody that got a little cut or scrape? No fear. I'm sure there's a plantain leaf somewhere nearby. Go find one. Hopefully no dogs have peed on it, but if you think there's that risk, Don't chew it up in your mouth. Just mash it up as best as you can to get those juices flowing. You might want to use a couple of rocks or something to mash it if you can't get it juicy enough with your hands, or by chewing it up, which is my preferred method when there hasn't been dog pee on it. Maybe somebody you know got a little bee sting, or a spider bite, or a bug bite, even snake bites, or all those gnarly, pesky bug bites. Plantain's got this super cool way of drawing out venom and infection from the body, kind of like plant magic. Or, splinters, or maybe there's literally a thorn in your side. You guessed it. Plantain can help with that too. It's so cool. I once had this rough and tough mountain man carpenter over to help build our chicken coop at our house. He came inside in the evening to have a cocktail and some dinner, and he was complaining about this huge splinter he'd had and couldn't tweeze out. And I said, well, I've got some plantain tincture. And he looked at me kind of like, yeah, whatever, crazy hippie Mal. So I went up and I got the plantain tincture anyways, despite his lack of faith in my crazy ideas. I dabbed a little on a cotton ball, and I told him to hold it in place on top of that splinter. About 10 minutes later, we're hanging out, dinner's getting close to done, and I asked him how the splinter was. He had forgotten all about it. He took the cotton ball off, and the splinter was out of his hand and hanging out on the cotton ball. Suddenly, he was blown away by my hippie magic. Or there was this time last summer when I was cruising around through the woods and I got pricked by this blackberry shrubbery. I didn't think much of it other than, whatever, my body will take care of it, right? Fast forward a month or so, and I'm looking at my leg, and there's a swollen, large red circle with some pussy, nasty-looking gunk right where that darn thorn had decided to inject itself into my leg. So I thought, well, Melvin, I guess your body didn't push it out after all. Plantain the heck out of that thing. And so I did. Another little cotton ball with plantain tincture and a Band-Aid to hold it in place. 30 short minutes later, I take the bandage off and check it out. There's a thorn about a 1/4 inch long just removed from my leg, along with a bunch of that nasty, pussy stuff hanging out too. It was pretty gross and also total plant magic. So I put a new fresh cotton ball back on that spot where it had been so red and inflamed with the tincture of plantain on there to help draw out the rest of that infection that I had let happen. Yep, it worked like a charm. But what about burns? They suck, right? This is where I use my afterburn, and I put plantain in my afterburn, and it's super duper handy and effective. Maybe you got burned over your campfire, or your oven got the best of you. Plantain is your best friend, again, in this situation. A little spit poultice or that rock smashing I talked about on your smaller burns will do just fine. Or maybe you spent too much time in the sun and now your skin is red, hot, and crispy. Boo for sunburns. But it can be really nice to have a little plantain that you've infused in a light carrier oil like some almond oil or apricot oil. Maybe even consider adding a little bit of lavender essential oil to the plantain infusion, just to help increase the cooling and healing benefits of this little plant partnership. Plantain can also be amazing for mouth and tooth infections. So in the herbal world, there's this thing known as the doctrine of signatures, and it says that like treats like. So maybe a plant that looks like some type of body system or something along those lines might help treat that body system. So it's interesting with plantain, as if you look at a little Plantago major leaf, it looks a little bit like a tongue. You know, it's kind of got the shape. Just work with me here. So it might mean that plantain just might be great for infections in the mouth then, right? It is. It really, really is. So if you or someone you know gets a gnarly tooth infection and it's so painful, use a tincture as a mouthwash. You could also use some chewed up plantain and keep it on the infected area if you need to. And this is where that whole magical pulling out the infection thing is what plantain does for you here. So you can make a mouthwash with a little bit of plantain tincture. You want to take the tincture and dilute it with water. This is super important. So maybe about a dropper full of the tincture to about an 1/8 cup of water and swish it around in the mouth. So you don't want the alcohol to burn your mouth. So that is where, again, this dilution part is uber important. If you're super well stocked with your own little apothecary, you could add some echinacea or some spilanthes to this tincture and work even more plant magic. But you're going to be fine with plantain solo as well. Another place that plantain is amazing for your health is gut health. So one of the same things about plantain that helps our skin, which is mucosal tissue, heal so well, also helps our gut wall, other mucosal tissue, to heal and repair itself. I know it sounds pretty crazy, right? These plants, they never cease to amaze me. Plantain can help to heal and repair your damaged gut wall as it does with all the other mucosal tissue. So this can be a great herb to have on hand for those with IBS, leaky gut, ulcers, or other inflammatory issues of the gut. You can use it in a tea, juice it, or just eat the young leaves on a salad if you like. Think about adding some peppermint to the salad or the tea, both for its great flavor and for its gut-loving benefits. I use the combo of plantain and peppermint and a few other herbs in my digesties for this very reason, and it's so delicious and super effective. So back to the inflammation piece and the gut. Yes, plantain. Plantain is cooling, meaning that it helps to reduce inflammation when it needs to. It's a super great friend to have on hand for all those gut health issues most of us are dealing with today. And plantain is also amazing for the respiratory tract. What great timing with these huge respiratory illnesses and this crazy coronavirus going on. The same cooling, anti-inflammatory properties of plantain that help the gut and our skin also help our respiratory system. And no way am I implying that plantain is the cure for COVID-19 or anything along those lines. But it can certainly help if you're dealing with a super dry, hot, raspy cough. You can make it into a tea. Maybe you add a little mint or some licorice root to flavor it up and bring some more of that cooling, anti-inflammatory goodness to the respiratory tract. It's a good spot to add some marshmallow also, not Jet Puff or Stay Puft or whatever marshmallows those are, but Althea officinalis, marshmallow root, or the leaves as well. These are just some of the friends that I also use in my respiratory rescue formula that help that formula to be so incredibly effective. So yeah, these are just a few of the reasons that plantain is one of my absolute favorite super bestest plant friends. It's one that I think you should know. If you've got kids, you need to get out there and teach those kids this plant. It's so easy to identify. It's growing everywhere. It's actually known as white man's footprint because it's like everywhere we've stepped ourselves and roadsides, sidewalk cracks, gravel roads, you name it. You're bound to find plantain nearby. And it can do so much for you. So hopefully after hearing this, you get outside, you find yourself some plantain. Right now it's the middle of May in Oregon and it is popping up like hotcakes everywhere. So if you enjoyed this podcast, learning about my good old buddy, Plantago major, do me a huge favor and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the Herbalist Path and leave me a 5-star rating if you really love it. Also, be sure to head over to mountainmells.com and enter your email address to get my free download of 10 medicinal herbs that you can grow in your own home. Take charge of your health and happiness. And I even included a recipe for each of the herbs in the guide. Also, be Be sure to leave me a little comment here. Let me know if you've used Plantain before. How did you use it? What did you do? Did it work well for you? Again, don't forget to share and sign up at mountainmells.com with your email address to get the 10 medicinal herbs to know and grow. And thanks again for joining me on another episode of The Herbalist Path, where we can inspire a movement to have an herbalist in every home again. Hashtag spread like wildflowers. Bye.
It has been so much fun and so, I don't know, joyous watching all of my medicinal plant friends popping up in my garden, from the allantoin to the comfrey and the arnica. I love seeing these friends pop up. And if you are still trying to decide what to grow in your medicinal herb garden, you've got to grab my guide. It's all about the most essential herbs that every mom should know and should grow. So I teach you how to grow them and the many different ways that you can use them. If you want to grab the guide, go ahead. It's free, and I'm pretty sure you're going to get a lot of delight and use out of it. And there's a link to it in the show notes. I'm wishing you tons of happy medicine planting.